Despite being a flop in Japan, No More Heroes sold well in the West, which prompted Grasshopper to make a sequel to it. Released on January 26, 2010 in the States, we got No More Heroes 2 Desperate Struggle, a game that I feel does things better as well as worse than the original release. But how so? Well, join Opal and I as we dive into No More Heroes 2 Desperate Struggle. Once again, we're looking at the release of the Switch re-releases, so without further ado, let's begin.
It's been 3 years since the events of the first game. After becoming the #1 ranked assassin, Travis stepped away from the UAA because of a falling out he had with Sylvia. After getting the itch to give being an assassin another go, Travis unknowingly enters a fully re-established UAA and faces off against Skelter Helter, the brother of the previous game's 11th ranked assassin, who Travis killed during the opening cutscene of the first game. Skelter swears revenge on Travis after the death of his brother, to which Travis has no clue who Skelter is even talking about as we get on with our first ranked fight.
If you played the first game, you'll immediately notice the updates to combat. No More Heroes 2's combat is a lot faster and punchier, and it makes combat even more rewarding. Once again, we swing the katana by pressing the A button, holding the Joy-Con up and down to do high and low attacks, use the right stick to dodge, B button to grab, etc, etc. If you played the first game, you know the controls. We do have new mechanics to combat, but we'll get to that later.
After defeating Skelter Helter by decapitating him, we once again meet up with Sylvia, who encourages Travis to rejoin the UAA in exchange for what she puts as a 5-course meal. However, despite being decapitated, Skelter Helter with his dying words warns and threatens Travis, saying that actions have consequences and revenge will soon course through his veins before ripping his own head off for the final kill. The next scene shows Bishop, Travis's best friend and owner of Beefhead Videos, getting absolutely massacred by Mafia men. After Bishop's severed head is thrown through Travis's window, Travis, in absolute rage, asks Sylvia who's responsible. Sylvia reveals that the goons were hired by one Jasper Bat Jr. If you don't know, in the first game's assassination missions, we killed the CEO of Pizza Corporation, Pizza Bat, who turned out to be the father of the #1 ranked assassin in this game. Travis now swears he will reach rank 1 and kill the man responsible for Bishop's murder.
It's here where I immediately sing my praises about No More Heroes 2 and how it handles the open world, or lack thereof. Instead of driving around a barren open world with nothing to do, No More Heroes 2 has a menu system for places to go. No more driving on the Spelltiger, going from place to place. Just select where you want to go and you're there. Also gone is the entry fees. Once you beat the previous boss or viewed a cutscene, you immediately have access to the next stage, which heavily cuts down on padding. Well, what if you want to customize or upgrade Travis? How am I going to get more money? Well, with minigames, of course.
After beating different ranked fights, you unlock some NES-style minigames known as side jobs. Whether it's taking out bugs, laying tile, cooking steaks, or laying pipe, they're fast and pretty enjoyable. If you're not a fan of them, you'll eventually unlock revenge missions, which are short mini-stages where the goal is to take down one of the assassins responsible for Bishop's murder under different stipulations. Some require killing all enemies, while some require just killing the leader. They're kind of similar to the assassination missions in No More Heroes 1, just more tied directly into this game's story. Once again, you can use the money for clothing, go to Ryan's gym to raise our attack or health, or get new katanas from Dr. Naomi.
Speaking of beam katanas, there are a few new ones and they're all really unique and fun to use. One of the first weapons we can unlock actually is the Camellia Mark III, formerly known as the Tsubaki Mark III, which hits super fast at the cost of lower attack. Which it's pretty cool to get the frontal weapon of No More Heroes 1 from the start. The Peony is a super slow weapon, and at first, I wasn't a big fan of its slow speed and mediocre range, but I soon found out that it got stronger and longer the more the ecstasy gauge filled, but shortens as Travis takes damage, making it an amazing katana for crowd control and taking down beefier enemies. There's also another new weapon called the Rose Nasty, the same one's on the box art, which we don't get until near the end of the game. The Rose Nasties are a set of dual katanas which have great attack power and speed, making them damn near essential for endgame boss fights. I really like how the katanas have certain uses depending on the situation, but can theoretically be used in any situation, rather than just upgrading like in No More Heroes 1.
Something really neat as well with the beam katanas is, unlike the first game where you had to go back to the motel to swap them manually, you can now swap them at any time you want in the middle of the stage with no issue. The slot reel system also returns, and really the only notable difference with the dark side mode is that instead of Dark Travis, we have him turn into a fucking tiger that decimates anything it gets its claws on.
And as we mentioned with the death of Thunder Ryu in the last game, we instead get Ryan's gym to increase Travis' strength and health, and Ryan's gym fucking sucks! Styled as an 8-bit minigame, the health one requires Travis to run on a treadmill by mashing the buttons and changing his direction if the treadmill changes ways. This one isn't too bad. It's strength training that sucks to deal with. This requires Travis to punch or kick dumbbells while also dodging the hearts Ryan tosses out. The hit detection of the dumbbells feels like it just doesn't work, and you're only allowed to miss a few times, and if you fail, you have to pay a lot of money to try again. It also just feels random in how many hits it takes to fail. Sometimes 1 dumbbell is enough to fail, sometimes 3, sometimes 4, and it doesn't tell you that you've lost until the minigame is over. I really wish it told you if you had the hits required to fail, you didn't have to wait through it. Also, not to mention, the effeminate gay stereotype really did not age well for this game.
Back to the story, next up is rank 50, Nathan Copeland, a music producer and cult leader who has been really itching to fight Travis after he was deemed as the crownless king amongst assassins. His stage is set across a hotel where he jammed one of the best music tracks in the series, known as Kill or Be Killed or Destroy Resort. Once we get to Nathan though, his fight is super annoying for it's only the second battle in the game. Similar to Destroy Man in the first game, Nathan uses traps around his arena to his advantage. Exploding plants, moving floors, lasers, and all combines into an utter chaotic mess of a fight. It leaves you feeling more like you're fighting the stage instead of Nathan himself.
Now for rank 49. This is where I feel No More Heroes 2 really falters in terms of the story and writing compared to No More Heroes 1. Ranks 49 to 25, yes you heard that right, is Charlie McDonald and his cheerleader groupies. While I love how overacted he is because of Yuri Lowenthal's performance, the fact that Travis is about to jump a shit ton of placements because they didn't want to do 50-something boss fights, it just feels lazy. If Travis started from, say, the 25th position and worked his way up that way, then I think 25 boss fights could have been more understandable. But this massive jump just feels like it's so they didn't have to do a shit ton of bosses. This isn't the last time they'll do this in this game, but we'll see that when we get there.
Charlie and his groupies turn into a giant mech, and Travis whips out his own Gundam, and the fight is just ridiculous in all the best ways. The fact that the game essentially has a Gundam or Power Rangers Zord battle as the third boss fight is just really bonkers, and the special attacks they get make it even better. Despite the spectacle and sheer stupidity of the moment, the fight controls like wading through a swamp in Skechers, so it's ultimately not as cool as the concept lives up to, but it's still very novel either way. Inputs feel very delayed, and the overall battle is incredibly stiff. It's not terrible, the spectacle alone carries it just kind of sucks on repeat playthroughs.
After Charlie, we get the chance to face an extra boss as he gets a letter in the mail from a university student who is a big fan of Travis named Kimmy Howell. Initially, she seems like the sweet, shy, awkward fangirling type. It's quickly revealed she is just as psychopathic as the other assassins Travis has faced before. She reveals that she won an assassin's tournament due to her love and devotion to Travis, but says that she wishes to behead him to surpass him to show her true love for him. The entire time Travis is learning about this from a love letter, Kimmy just plays a flute nonchalantly. I fucking love this cutscene for how goofy it is, especially with Robin Atkin Downes and Jennifer Hale's performances.
The fight with Kimmy can be tough but manageable as her flute blades pack a hell of a punch and the bubble she can produce can stunlock the hell out of you, but it's still pretty fun and a fair challenge. This is also the second time in the series that Travis doesn't kill his opponent, as he claims he can't kill a co-ed, telling her to wait for another fight after she graduates, and if only he knew.
Rank 24 next as we take on Matt Helms, and this fight is fucking trash. While Matt himself isn't a problem, the broken down house of an arena is cramped and the pillars and walls constantly get in the way of your attacks. While not the worst fight in the game, as we'll get to that way later, this fight is definitely a sour note. I will give Matt Helms a note of the creepiest boss in the game being the spirit of a demon child.
Rank 23 is Chloe Walsh, and this fight will last about as long as this paragraph. Chloe Walsh is a poison-spitting masochist, and as far as we're aware, the only fight in the game with a poison status effect, but she also has the absolute lowest health in the game, and can be taken out really quickly as her poison spit attack is easy to get around, her scream attack is close range and ineffective, and what's supposed to be her instant kill command grab is incredibly easy to dodge and break out of. She's the easiest boss in the game without a shadow of a doubt, and her kill animation is absolutely ridiculous. Did we really need to see her ass jiggling before we turned her into a pile of meat? This fight is just excessive and underwhelming in equal measure.
Rank 22 is an assassin battle royale, but as Travis is waiting to be let in, Rank 10 slaughters all the other contestants and is revealed that it's Let's Shake, now donned Dr. Let's Shake. And it's revealed that he defeated Henry and encased him in carbonite. I absolutely love Let's Shake's voice pattern, and the fight against him is actually pretty enjoyable, as you have to watch out for his earthquake attack that only gets faster as he loses health and constant laser attacks. After beating him, Henry is freed, and we see Shinobu with a new robotic arm. She grants Travis as her master as she's taken a fond appreciation for Travis, and is also trying to make amends for claiming that Travis killed her father. Travis isn't exactly fond of her calling him that, but Shinobu keeps insisting as she mentions that she went to Asia and wants to help Travis with the next two assassins to ease him up a bit. Oh boy, it's time to talk about a huge issue with this game.
While Shinobu functions similarly to Travis on a fundamental level, she has a couple huge problems. On the positive side, she has a long range attack, she attacks pretty fast and hits very hard on top of that, and is fast on her feet, on top of possessing a great burst movement option in the form of her dash, which both sends her flying across the stage and instantly knocks down enemies it hits for an easy kill. But she has two very glaring problems to offset this. The first being that after every sword combo, she'll pause and taunt the enemy, leaving her completely vulnerable to other enemy attacks, and while this can be offset by dodging during the combo, it's not exactly ideal as you're not getting her largest damage output. Her second problem is that she has a jump, and while this doesn't sound bad, she has what we like to call an NES jump. Once she jumps in a direction, she will be locked into that direction for the duration of the jump, and that momentum makes the few times you have to platform with her absolutely unbearable. I've heard some people take issue with her constantly saying the word moe during attacks and cutscenes, but I personally find it really amusing that she's mimicking Travis. It's made clear that she doesn't even know what the word means, she's just saying it because Travis says it, which is very charming.
Rank 9 is Million Gunman, and this fight is an absolute slog. For most of the fight, Gunman will run away and move between different levels of the vault, occasionally firing his gun, and with Shinobu's combat problems and stiff jump to get up to the higher platforms, this fight is an absolute mess. And those problems with her carry over to the rank 8 stage and the fight with new Destroy Man. Yep, after he split him in half and No More Heroes 1, he's now back with a robotic body, and now there's two of them. This fight, if it wasn't for a certain later down the line, would be the worst boss fight in the entire game. New Destroy Man has a lot you need to focus on, with two bosses attacking at the same time, and the fact that two can revive each other if left alone. This fight can feel like it takes forever because of that reason. Thankfully, with the destruction of these two, we're done with Shinobu's combat.
Rank 7 is against Ryuji, a quote-unquote man from the east who had acquired true great power. And while the bike battle against him at the start is very clunky, the proper battle with him is easily one of the best in the game. Ryuji hits hard and fast, and his dragon attack is not only a visual spectacle, but requires good awareness of the arena to properly avoid. After Travis beats Ryuji, he goes in for a handshake and a peaceful farewell after what he viewed as a good fight, but Sylvia shows up and guns him down like a thug. This moment really hammers in Travis's thoughts about assassin work as a whole, as well as how Sylvia treats the people in her organization, and this point will only be further drilled in as we progress. Also, this is an unscripted ramble. We did not write this into the script. I'm saying this myself because I noticed it on Pay's most recent playthrough of this game. When Sylvia guns down Ryuji, she mentions that Travis can't let him live like quote-unquote that dumb schoolgirl, which I think is a really intelligent line because it could either apply to Kimi Howell, a character you fight earlier in this game. However, due to her being optional, it could also apply to Shinobu in the first game, who's also a schoolgirl who Travis lets live after their fight. It's really neat that they covered for themselves using very vague language in this section. It's neat.
Before we continue to the next rank, we see Henry in a dreamscape as he starts battling with his inner anime nightmare, Mimi. This is the only time we can play as Henry, and dude, it sucks we can't play as him more. Not only is it cool to play as Mr. Sir Henry motherfucker, but Henry has a projectile attack, has fast movements with a dash, and attacks the fastest out of any of the characters. While the fight with Mimi isn't super interesting, and the remix of We Are Finally Cowboys is a repetitive waste of an already great song, it is super cool to play as Henry for this brief moment. When Henry wakes up in the middle of Travis getting off, he later goes on to take care of the 6 and 5 ranks, leaving Travis with 4 opponents remaining.
And speaking of rank 4, the stage for rank 4 is outside of a giant shopping mall at sunset as we slaughter waves of enemies. This section is low-key one of my favorites in the game. I've heard people complain about it being too long or drawn out, but it's just so excessive in all of the best ways. You fight guys in this parking lot for like 20 minutes straight. It's the most tactile, hands-on representation of how satisfying and brutal this game's combat is. And it all leads to the greatness of a fight that is Margaret Moonlight. Margaret is often considered one of the best fights in the game, with ranks 3 and 2 in this game pretty close behind her. She blends a good mix of long range and close quarters combat as you have to watch her sniper fire and deal with her teleporting scythe attacks, all while the banger known as Philistine plays in the background. You know this fight is an S tier.
Rank 3 now, and after a driving stage, we're met with Captain Vladimir, and this is personally my favorite fight in the game. Captain Vladimir is a possessed astronaut who uses orbital lasers from space to do his big damage, and has a shield from the front, meaning you have to constantly get behind him while dodging his rocks and lasers. But what sells this fight for me is the atmosphere and the music. When you start this fight, it's dark out, but as Vladimir's health slowly drains, the sun starts to rise, and with the amazing track known as Shoegaze or Watch the Stars playing in the background, this fight is utterly memorable. And Travis having a lot of sympathy for Vladimir being exploited by the UAA is actually pretty heartwarming.
Rank 2 now, as we're met with the longest stage in the game, and the toughest fight not for bullshit reasons, as we meet with Alice Twilight, a cold-blooded killer who just simply wants to be remembered after she's lost everything. It's implied she's related to Margaret Moonlight through the portrait she's burning of her, hence why she's grieving and feels nothing at all. She wants Travis to kill her, but still won't go down without a fight. Alice hits pretty hard with her 6 beam katanas, constantly keeping you on your toes while fighting her. And with this kill, as Alice wants to be remembered for her death, Travis finally loses it at Sylvia, screaming at her about how assassins are still people and how people like Sylvia will just forget them once they're dead. And yet, for some reason, immediately after this cutscene, Travis finally gets his wish of banging Sylvia with one of the best line deliveries in the series.
Downward fucking dog!
This is a funny moment in a vacuum, but my big problem with it is how it goes against a previous cutscene and also how it ignores Travis's characterization as a whole. Throughout the whole series up to this point, Travis has been established to be a creepy loser who gets no bitches, and yet throughout this game, he's constantly had beautiful women throwing themselves all over him. Completely incongruous with how Travis was meant to be characterized in the previous game and in later entries. No More Heroes 1 literally ends with him being cucked by Henry, but we'll save our gripes about the writing for the end of the plot summary.
We're now on to rank 1, and after a long stage, we finally get to the final boss, Jasper Bat Jr. He taunts and angers Travis by showing the severed heads of Henry, Shinobu, and Sylvia in order to spur him onto the fight. In this fight... This fight is one of the worst fucking things I have ever played in my entire goddamn life. This fight is 3 phases of hell. This first phase, he rides around in his stupid little car, and all you really need to do is dodge his lasers. The first phase is pretty damn easy, and it's a fucking joke. It's phase 2 that is absolutely fucking infamous. After beating phase 1, Henry shows that the heads were fakes, and Jasper injects himself with venom and grows huge and muscular, where phase 2 begins. During this phase, he hits fast, hard, spams these bat projectiles, teleports around a lot, and the worst fucking part is that if you are standing anywhere near the windows in this phase, his punch could send you straight through it, resulting in an instant game over. But after trudging through it, we finally deal with phase 3, a giant blimp where the camera is way too close to see anything, and he hits like a truck. This is such a massive fallout for bosses, considering ranks 4 and 2 were utterly incredible, and the final boss has 3 shitty phases.
But after defeating Jasper Bat Jr., Sylvia rescues him and afterwards drops him off in front of his motel. Throughout the game and before each battle, it's shown that Sylvia is reminiscing about Travis's fights with other assassins. After the UAA closed, she was broke, left with nothing, and forced to work in a brothel. And the final cutscene shows Travis rescuing her and telling her, "Let's go home," ending No More Heroes 2.
No More Heroes 2's plot really misunderstands what made No More Heroes 1 so enjoyable with its writing. No More Heroes 1 is supposed to be a parody of things like shonen anime, not a revenge storyline. This is the only game that wasn't directed by Goichi Suda, seeing as it was instead directed by Nobutaka Ichiki, who was primarily a producer and designer for the series, which honestly explains a lot. My biggest issue with No More Heroes 2 is that the bosses for the most part have no interesting qualities or insanely one note. I literally can sum up every boss in one word. Revenge, rich, dumb, yandere, dead, psycho, funny, boring, annoying, bland, goth, ghost, empty, brat. There you go. What made No More Heroes 1's characters so enjoyable was that several characters had more to them. Even if we don't learn much about them, it makes you want to learn more. Dr. Peace, for example, had a whole monologue about how he had a daughter he rarely sees anymore due to him being a killer. Holly was someone who wanted to test Travis's morality about what it means to kill. Bagger was more than a psycho, she showed Travis what it means to fall so far off the deep end as a human being because of the choices you make. Skelter Helter, Margaret, Captain Vladimir, Alice, and the Astral boss Kimmy were the only characters I consider having any interesting writing, so only 5 out of 15 bosses had me compelled.
The worst thing about the game's writing, though, is how much it misrepresents Travis as a character. I mentioned this earlier, but Travis is not a character who should be rewarded for his actions. He is explicitly meant to be an example not to follow when existing in the spaces that he does. He's not a guy who gets women thrown all over him and gets what he wants in the end. He's a dorky loser who's terrible and creepy with women, and yet in this game, even if it is for its own sadistic sense of humor, characters like Kimmy, Chloe Walsh, Shinobu, and Sylvia all want to fuck him. Thankfully, the 2 other games in the series fix this problem, but we'll get to that when we get there.
No More Heroes 2 does not slouch with the soundtrack and looks though. In fact, for a 2010 Wii game, No More Heroes 2 does look good, and the HD remaster does make the visuals look even better. And the soundtrack is just as good, if not better than the first game. My personal favorite songs being Kill or Be Killed, Shoegazer Watch the Stars, and Miss Teller.
Me personally, my favorite tracks are Toothpaste, the song that plays during a specific section of Alice Twilight stage, Killer Be Killed, the song that plays during Nathan Copeland stage, and weirdly enough, the generic map theme that plays when you're selecting where to go. The voice acting in general is pretty good too. Robin Atkin Downes and Paula Tizo continue to carry the voice acting, but the assassins themselves are fantastic or hilarious in equal measure. Yuri Lowenthal as Charlie is absolutely hysterical with how overacted he is. Jennifer Hale as Kimmy and Alice is great. Paul Eiting as Captain Vladimir is amazing. He sounds just enough like Colonel Campbell to be recognizable. It's overall a pretty damn good cast. We forgot to mention this in the No More Heroes 1 review, but the voice acting there is great too, with names like D. Bradley Baker, Kim My Guest, and even Steve Bloom providing stellar voice work. In my personal No More Heroes retrospective on my channel, I describe the series as a melting pot of popular video game and anime dub actors who were in the scene at the time that the games were made, and this stays true for pretty much the entire series. Most everyone in these games voice cast you can recognize from something else somewhere, and it makes listening to the dialogue in this game a really fun, hey, it's that person I know kind of exercise.
No More Heroes 2 really does fix a lot of what No More Heroes 1 struggled with, but at the same time really screws up some of the things that made the first game so good. The combat is faster and has more features, the soundtrack is still banging, and the removal of the entry fee system and world map makes No More Heroes 2's pace feel better, but with a much weaker story, uninteresting characters, and terrible mischaracterization, it falls flat in that regard. And for a long while, we got no new games in the series for 9 years until the release of Travis Strikes Again. But that's a story for another time. I'm Payday.
And I'm Opal.
And I'll see you guys next time.